Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. That's right, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers, Robbie Rants Live. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. Today we'll be talking about comic books, movies, pop culture, all that jazz and more. Most of you guys know who we are and what we do around this time. So every Sunday night we do the Robbie Rants Live. We'll talk a little bit about the comics, maybe from last week, whatever you guys want to say. This is kind of like a Q&A thing. So once you jump in, let me know. I see a few of you guys are here already. What's up, Comic Guy? What's up, S Squared? What's up, Juan? How are you guys doing out there? Really looking forward to chatting with you guys tonight. I hope you had a fantastic Labor Day weekend, and I hope it continues on. College football started this week, so if you want to, we can talk about that a little bit. But once you guys hop in, let me know that you're here, and we'll start chatting. We usually start off by talking about the upcoming new releases, new stuff, new out this week. You know, last Wednesday we had a really, really light week, but this week's definitely going to make up for it. I took a small peek a little bit earlier, and it looks like some really, really good stuff. What's up, Yogan? 22, how you doing? Anybody do anything exciting this weekend? I guess not. So we're going to start with Image Comics. So Image Comics, what do we have out this week? We got Black Science number 38. I fell off of Black Science around like issue 7 or 8. Maybe one day I'll catch up. We got Bully Wars number 1 is out this week. I know a lot of people have been hyped up about that one. There's a lot of different covers for that. Dead Hand number 6. I've been a big fan of Kyle Higgins' Dead Hand book. I really, really like that. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen there. Eclipse number 10, for those of you following that. The Last Siege number 4 of 8. By the way, Leviathan number 2, Leviathan number 1 really blew a lot of people away. I thought, I mean, I loved Patera's artwork in it, but I have to check and see what happens in issue 2. It was a little silly for me, but you just got to know it's silly, right? Speaking of silly, New Lieutenants of Metal number 3 is out this week. Outpost Zero number 3. The first issue was intriguing enough. The second issue just didn't really hook me in, though. So I will probably pass on that one this week. Paper Girls returns. Number 24 is out this week. Paper Girls, always a good comic book day when a new issue of Paper Girls is out, right? Absolutely. Snot Girl number 11 is out this week. Spawn 289, for those of you still holding on to that Spawn book, I applaud you. Thief of Thieves number 40 is out this week. Unnatural number 3, that's just not my style. Walking Dead 183 is out this week, and that's pretty much the Image releases for this week, guys. Anything you're really looking forward to? Comic Guy, I would totally say that the Earth X Omnibus is totally worth it. I am a huge fan of Earth X. It's over too far to reach. I love that book so much. It's a really dark vision of the future of Marvel. Alex Ross did all the covers and kind of the character work, the character designs and things like that. But he had Jim Kruger. They had a bunch of people working on that book. John Paul Leon. Fantastic book. I really like it. I think it's great. At the time, a lot of us kind of said, well, this is like the Kingdom Come for Marvel, right? And it kind of felt like that. But I really, really like it. Excuse me. I think it's really, really good. Yeah, I'm really curious about Bully Wars 2. Is that Scotty Young? Is Scotty Young somehow connected to this? I thought. Yes, he's the writer. Yes, totally. Scotty Young and Aaron Conley. All right, we'll definitely be checking that out for the weekly comic book review this week. Spawn 289 has a couple of first appearances, by the way, guys. So if you're looking out for stuff like that, check it out. And yeah, Paper Girls. Paper Girls is amazing. I love that book. Let's hop on over to IDW Publishing and see what they got cooking this week. Ghostbusters fans, Crossing Over number 6 is out this week. My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, number 70 is out this week. I know somebody out there reads My Little Pony, and I don't fault you. I'll be honest with you. My lady started watching that TV show, the animated series My Little Pony. It's not too bad. And I hear that, like, John Delancey's in it, and he plays, like, somebody named Discord or something. That's Q from Star Trek. I got to at least rewatch those episodes, right? Optimus Prime, number 23, is out this week. TMNT Urban Legends number 5 is out this week. Transformers fans, Lost Light number 23, Unicron number 4, and the aforementioned Optimus Prime, and Walt Disney's Comics and Stories 743. You know, I don't really keep up with them current. I used to try, and I kept buying them. But IDW's Walt Disney line of comic books that they're doing right now, I know I don't really spotlight them too much on the weekly comic book reviews or nothing, but those things are really, really good. Great comic books for everybody. Who didn't like Disney characters growing up? I'm a big fan of the Uncle Scrooge one, personally. I think that's really funny, really fun. Donald Duck is, of course, cool. Lots of Huey, Dewey, and Louie in both of those titles. The Mickey Mouse one, I think, is the weakest. I don't know. Mickey Mouse is interesting to me as a character, but I always like the Duck guys more. You know, like over at Looney Tunes, I'm a big Daffy Ducks fan. Daffy Ducks, like multiple ducks, but no, I'm a big Daffy fan. I'm a big Donald fan. I really like Uncle Scrooge, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. So I love reading those. The Walt Disney Comics and Stories, I think, is the second best one that IDW does. They really spotlight Goofy and Donald and Uncle Scrooge and all the rest of them. Seriously, it's really fun. I love them. I love them Disney characters, and they do reprints of like old school stories, and then they do for the first time ever like English translations of international Disney stories, and I think that's really, really cool. And today I'm drinking a Monkey Nut IPA out of my Dr. Doom glass. So some Kirby Doom there. How are y'all doing out there? So that was IDW. We're going to jump on over. Let's see. Dark Horse. I missed Dark Horse. Let's go to Dark Horse real quick. And like I said, guys, any questions, pop them in so we can start talking about them. Giles, the trade paperback for Buffy fans, that is out this week. Call of Duty Zombies 2, #1, is out this week. Hellboy, these omnibus collections, I've been collecting them up. I got rid of, I want to talk about this real quick. So the Hellboy omnibuses, they are beautiful. They are gorgeous. Here's my, I dropped some DVDs there, but there's the first one right there. I got 1, 2, and 3, and one of the short story ones. I've been collecting these up. I'm a huge Hellboy fan, guys. Those that follow the channel know that for sure. This is the first time that they're printing the story of Hellboy chronologically, right? And then they have the short stories in their own 2 volumes for short stories, right? So that's really cool. So I wanted to go ahead and get this. This is one of my favorite comic books ever, guys. Mike Mignola, to me, is a genius. I think he does such an amazing job. It's some of my favorite comic book artwork. I love the stories. It's very atmospheric. It's very fun. Very just goofy at times, but very, very, right there. Wolves of St. August, that's one of my favorite Hellboy stories right there. But I love this Hellboy stuff. So I got these. I sold my original trade paperbacks, except for my volume 1, because I have that one signed by Mike Mignola from when I met him back in like 2003 or whatever. I'll put that back later. So I got that, right? So I get them and I trade the other ones, but Mike Mignola used to do these little notes that he would pass, that he would like write in between each story about the story and things like that. That's all missing, and that sucks. That sucks so bad. That sucks so bad. That really does for me, to be honest. So we got the new one of those of Hellboy, and the new book called War Bears is coming out, and Predators Hunters 2, #2, is out this week from Dark Horse Comics, and not too much that I'm going to be looking forward to. Let's real quick look at Dynamite, see what they got. James Bond Origin #1. That sounds interesting. It could be cool. I don't know who's writing that, so it'd be interesting to know. Project Superpowers #2 is out this week, and that's pretty much what they got from Dynamite. I might check out that James Bond one if it looks cool. From Boom Studios, we got Giant Days #42. 42. Rocko's Modern Life #8. That was not my favorite Nicktoons show when I was a kid, but I think I would probably appreciate it a lot more now. Steven Universe Harmony #2 and WWE NXT TakeOver Blueprint #1. For those that are interested in that. All right, now we're about to get to the big daddies, DC and Marvel. But let's get to some more of your questions here. War Bears is okay. James Bond gave me a headache. You already read those? Interesting. Yeah, Paper Girls is amazing. What do I think about DC Universe? What kind of comics will be available? I have no clue right now. I don't know if there's a beta. I guess there's a beta right now that people are a part of. I'm not part of that, so I don't know what's on there. I know that they have mentioned that some of the old school detective comics and action comics will be in there, like from the 30s and 40s. I know that they're going to have like probably some new 52 Harley Quinn, maybe. Things that seem like they're tied into the upcoming exclusive content that DC Universe is going to be doing. So that's what I think they're going to have. They say it's going to be a curated selection. So I don't foresee them having a large digital comics, catalog available for DC Universe subscribers at first. That may be something that they eventually roll out little by little. They may kind of bring some in and pull some out, things like that. They may kind of just have a limited supply there of what they think is relevant to what they're currently doing, in TV and movies and animation and things like that. So, but I do not know what's on there outside of that. I know that some Swamp Thing is going to be on there. The Scott Snyder Swamp Thing, I think, is going to be on there because they're doing a Swamp Thing show. I'm sure some Titans stuff will probably be on there, but I don't know. But I am going to sign up for it for at least the first couple months so I can report to you guys about the Titans show and just what I think about the service in general. So we're going to do that, and I'll let you know for certain. It goes live September 15th, and Titans debuts in October, I believe. I am pumped for Cosmic Ghost Rider #3 because I'm really liking that title. It's super, super fun. I was talking to someone this week, one of my customers and friends, and they were saying that, you know, comic books, they don't like fun comics. Being fun is not something that appeals to them in comics. They like a lot of drama. They like a lot of intense things like that. So not everybody appreciates fun comic, you know. So I always say comics are meant to be fun. Maybe that's not always the case. But that being said, Cosmic Ghost Rider is a very, very fun comic, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it. What do I think about the Batman, the animated series Blu-ray? I'm very excited for that. I have a really nice DVD complete series collection that's in this cool like case. So I'm kind of like, man, I already got all that. But of course it's on Blu-ray. But I think I don't know if they're going to be streaming it, because someone asked me a question from the wrap-up earlier, like, are all the DC animated movies going to be available? I think a lot of them will be, but I don't think some of the more recent ones will be. I think they want you to go out and buy them first. So I know a lot of them are going to be available, but I don't know exactly what's going to be on that streaming service. I'm pumped to see it in Blu-ray, to see how good it looks. Absolutely. But I have this really nice DVD collection already, and I kind of don't want to rebuy it. But at the same time, I kind of do. But I'm pumped to check it out. Baby Thanos is the best Thanos. That's what I would say. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Titans trailer at all. I don't know. They are doing a new season of Young Justice, you know, so that's going to be interesting. I've only watched like the first half of the first season of Young Justice. It wasn't that it didn't appeal to me. It's just that I was watching it with my lady, and then we started watching other things, and then just got lost in the jumble, man. You know, Adam, I think that it is cool, and usually a good way you can tell forecast some things that may be happening is seeing what the comic book companies choose to spotlight, and there is a lot of spotlight on Ghost Rider right now. And I just saw this like speculative article talking about Norman Reedus saying that he wanted to play Ghost Rider, and I'd be cool with that. I'd be cool with the Ghost Rider thing. Someone told me they saw news that Netflix was going ahead with a Midnight Suns like division of Marvel TV, kind of like they did with the Defenders, but with characters like Blade, Ghost Rider, and Moon Knight. I have not been able to find anything about that, but those three series would make great Netflix shows. They would really nicely kind of culminate into a Midnight Sun series if they wanted to do that. So I'm all for that idea. I think it's neat. I've been wanting a new Blade series for a long time. Apparently Wesley Snipes, man, I forgot to cover that in the wrap up. Wesley Snipes apparently has been talking to Marvel about the new products for Blade, new projects for the Blade character. I think a TV show would be highly in order, maybe even a new movie. But it's been 20 years since the first Blade film, and that movie revolutionized cinema. It really, really did. We don't need to sleep on it. But back to what I was being. This all came because Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider would be cool. You know, I heard they did a great job with the Robbie Reyes version of the character over at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I only watched the first 3 seasons of that, so I haven't seen that. Maybe one day I'll check it out. But it would be nice to see some old school Johnny or Danny Ghost Rider on a Netflix series or something like that. That'd be really cool. Or a movie. But I think it would work really well as a TV show. But it's not that I'm not a fan of Marvel's Netflix TV shows, because I guess I would say that I am, but I feel like they're not the greatest. I feel like they're very, very, they're very inconsistent, is what I would say. I bet that Batman animated series looks gorgeous on Blu-rays. You know what? I mean, I'll probably definitely check it out, Leslie, for sure, because it's just it's my favorite animated series to begin with, right? And so that's something to have. But those backgrounds alone would look so gorgeous on Blu-ray. That's very exciting. I agree with you, Patch. It'd be nice to see Del Toro tackle Blade again, but I don't think that's going to happen. He's an Oscar winner now. What's up, Cal Electables? How you doing? I like that name. Even Daredevil. Let me tell you about Daredevil. I assume you're asking about my thoughts on the Netflix shows. Basically, I'll lay it out this simple. Daredevil season 1 is amazing. It's flawless. I love it. I love it. Daredevil season 2, I really, really like the first half of it, and I really kind of despise the second half of it, mostly because I feel like they completely mishandled the character of Elektra and kind of got her inherently wrong. I haven't seen Jessica Jones, so I can't speak on that one, season 1 or 2. I've seen only the first season of Luke Cage. And I love the first half of that, and I really, really hate the second half of Luke Cage. It starts off as this really, really cool street level, hero type story, and it's really good, and I'm engaged, and then it gets so comic booky, silly, ridiculously dumb. And the second half, to me, the moment Cottonmouth goes, my heart in the project went as well, to be honest with you. Iron Fist, I enjoy Iron Fist, but it's not good. I enjoy it in the way that I like Van Damme's Street Fighter a lot, and the way I like Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I like it because it's so bad. I like it because it's so silly. I don't think it really got too much right, but it did get some things right, like Colleen. I thought that was cool. I liked some of the Hydra stuff. Danny was a little too petulant for me. But overall, I really was engaged with the story of Ward and thought it was very silly and very fun. So that's what I think about the Netflix series right now. I just feel like they're inconsistent because if you're only, I don't know, like sometimes there's wasted episodes. They just, like in Luke Cage, the whole episode where they drive him down to Georgia to get fixed. And it's just like, it wastes time. And like the first season of Daredevil to me is perfect. It's flawless. It's what's going on. And Defenders are really, really liked until the last act of the Defenders. Basically, if you look at all of the Defenders as one story, I didn't like the ending of it. Once again, Elektra came in. She was the Elektra that I was wanting. She was Elektra's spot on, characterized and look-wise, and just awesome, like badass action-wise from the comic books. And then it very quickly turned into just this silly thing again. And I thought that the last 2 episodes of The Defenders kind of really soured the whole experience. But I think the best thing that they've ever done in Netflix Marvel is it's like 2 episodes of The Defenders, but it's centered around when they first meet up at that Chinese restaurant. I think that's some of the absolute best Marvel on the small screen ever, is that little bit. And I'm really sad that it completely fell apart to me at the end. The last episodes of The Defenders was incredibly, incredibly cheesy to me. But that's just me. But I do hear really good things about Jessica Jones, but I haven't seen it yet. But I am a big fan of the character of Jessica Jones. Speaking of which, I haven't read the second issue of Kelly Thompson's Jessica Jones digital first only series, but I read the first issue and loved it. It was amazing. So I definitely recommend that to you guys. Let's look at what's coming up from DC Comics, guys. You excited? I am. Adventures of the Super Sons #2. Very cool. Batman #54. That's Tom King bringing up a brand new Batman story. Very exciting for that. That last story, Cold Days, was Eisner worthy, guys. Really, really was. The final trade paperback of James Tynion's duration on Detective Comics, Batman Eternal, comes out. Let's see. The new Nightfall trade paperbacks come out. I'm excited to see what's going to go on with that. The Batman, Border Town #1 is out on Wednesday. It's basically Vertigo's trying to come back out with a bang with some really cool, interesting titles. The story on Border Town sounds really interesting to me. So it's a town, I think, in Arizona, right near the Mexican border. And these demons from Mexican folklore come out and invade the state, and they're like blaming the immigrants and all this kind of stuff. It feels topical and relevant, topically relevant. It sounds like what Vertigo was back in the 90s, and it feels like with all these new books that are coming out, like American Carnage from Brian Hill, and there's a few others. I'm really excited to check these ones out. Border Town is out this week. Very excited for that. Cover #1 is out this week. That's the David Mack, Brian Michael Bendis book. I am very excited for this. Pearl I thought was decent and all right. Loving what he's doing at Superman right now. But this is the book that I was most excited about for Bendis over at Superman. Or Bendis over at DC Comics. It's cover #1. Curse of Brimstone #6. I'm loving that book. I know a lot of people aren't, but I am. The Dreaming #1 starts. If you're a big fan of Neil Gaiman's Sandman run and you like that Sandman Universe special, I think The Dreaming is definitely going to be where the gist of the story is going to be. So I'm very excited to check that one out. But all those books are starting over the next couple months. Deathstroke #35 is out this week. Green Arrow #44. Green Lanterns #54. I thought that book had ended. Harley Quinn #49 for you Harley Quinn fans. A Jinx World Sampler is going to be available this week. Injustice 2 #33 is out this week. Justice League #7 is out this week. I'm loving Justice League. Nightwing 48. Unexpected #4. Speaking of Bendis, United States versus Murder Inc. #1 is out this week. Excuse me. I'm gassy today, guys. What's up, James? How you doing? We were talking about the upcoming comic books of the week. We just went through the DC ones. We went through all the smaller publishers pretty much. We haven't gone over Aftershock. They got Dark Arc. The next issue is out this week. Very, very exciting. And I have had a decent holiday weekend, even though to me it's not really a holiday weekend because I still have just the same amount of work. But I hope you guys have fun this weekend for sure. Mike J says he loves season 1 of Jessica Jones. That's what I hear. And I'm a big David Tennant fan. So maybe one day I'll check it out. Yeah, Justice League #7 is going to be badass. I'm so pumped for that one. Murder Inc. #1 is... Have you already read these books? How have you already read these books? I am so pumped for Justice League #7. This is going to wrap up the whole totality storyline, but there's still a lot of awesomeness to come because the way Snyder talks about it on his Twitter and on his YouTube channel, like, it's just some craziness he's got planned for about 50 issues. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you got to read. How do you get to read them? Are you in the industry? Yogan, have you ever read The Sandman ever? I need to know that. You know, I was a big Powers fan back in the day, and this Murder Inc. story that's coming up is a continuation of the story done over at Icon. I wasn't the biggest fan of that one, but I was a huge Powers fan back in the day. Well, I think the best place to start with Sandman is always going to be Preludes and Nocturnes. So if you haven't read the Neil Gaiman stuff, I would highly recommend that. Like, for real, for show, for shizzle. That's really good. We're about to look at the upcoming Marvel comics, guys. How exciting. I bet Marvel's got some neat stuff out this week. I think The Sandman by Neil Gaiman is one of the absolute greatest pieces of graphic literature ever created by mankind. If they do their job over at the new Sandman books, you won't have to have read anything before, because a good comic that does its job properly will be able to be accessible a little bit to a new reader, especially at a new issue #1. But I would highly recommend reading all of Neil Gaiman's Sandman. It's 10 books. But then you can add in the Dream Hunters. You can add in the Endless. All that stuff. Really, really good. Overture as well. Start with book 1, Preludes and Nocturnes. Read them. They're so good. They're amazingly good. Leslie, it would be totally cool if the Gorillas were made into a comic book. That would be amazing. I've been wanting that for years. God, it should have a comic book that's themed in with a new album. See, it should be like this super high concept kind of cross media type thing. I love stuff like that. That would be amazing. Speaking of amazing, the second print of Amazing Spider-Man #2 is out this week. Ant-Man and the Wasp, the final issue of the miniseries #5 is out this week. The first issue of As Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the new Cullen Bunn book. It's going to have like Angela, Valkyrie, the son of Thunderstrike, and a few other characters. Astonishing X-Men #15. That's one to look at because Matthew Rosenberg's doing a great job on that one right now. Avengers #7 is out. We were talking about that earlier. It's going to spotlight the original Ghost Rider, the one that the Fiery Mammoth was his steed, I guess you could say. Captain America #3. That's exciting. A second issue of Coates's Captain America run really, really got me like got me intrigued. Cosmic Ghost Rider number 3 is out this week, as we talked about before. Deadpool number 4 is out this week, and yes, I will read it. Check it out. Death of the Inhumans number 3. The Earth X trilogy omnibus. You know, we were talking about that Earth X book earlier. I love Earth X. Universe X and Paradise X, not so much. Not so much. Immortal Hulk number 5. I hope they course correct. I just feel like they went a little off course in the last few issues there. That's funny. They're doing a new Iron Man 2020 trade paperback because obviously that's going to be relevant, right? Because next year is 2020. That's cool. Old Man Logan Annual number 1 is out this week. If it's by Brisson, I'm down. First show. Why do I keep saying that? Quicksilver No Surrender number 5, the final issue is out. A Silver Surfer Annual is out this week. I believe Andre Lima Arejo did the art on that with Chris O'Halloran, possibly. Actually, I can check that, can't I? That's the cat that was drawing Generation Gone, my favorite book of 2017. Yes, Andre Arejo is definitely on the art on that, and Ethan Sachs, who's been doing Old Man Hawkeye, is writing it. So that's really exciting. That's kind of cool. I'll definitely check that out then. Silver Surfer needs a really good book. Don't you guys agree? I think he does. Silver Surfer is a great character. He debuted in the Fantastic Four. As many of you know, I'm certain. What else we got? Spider-Man Deadpool number 38, Star Wars number 53, Thanos Legacy number 1. Donny Cates pinned that issue, some of it, and says major things happen in that issue. Venom First Host number 2, because it's a weekly series. I liked issue number 1. I thought it was really, really cool. I think Ron Lim's going to be doing some of the the pencils for that one too. So that would be super cool because Ron Lim and Mark Bagley did Venom Lethal Protector, which leads me to an announcement. We've already announced this officially over the PCP Army on Facebook, which if you're not joined up to the PCP Army on Facebook, you definitely should. We have a lot of fun there, interacting with the fans, the followers, the members of the Excitable PCP crew, myself, and all that stuff. September 27th is when the brand new show Comics Revisited debuts. So Comics Revisited is going to be a series where I look back on a comic book story that's already happened with a member of the Excitable PCP crew. So the first series, we're going to go get into Venom because there's a Venom movie coming out, and I'm a huge old school Venom fan. So the first episode, all about Venom Lethal Protector with me and my cohort, Brooks the Magnificent. That will be debuting on Thursday, September 27th in the AM. And Patreon supporters will get it about a week beforehand. In comic books, you start reading where you want. I agree. That's how they should be. Everybody's always like, what's the perfect place to start? And I can give you some great places to start if you want to get caught up or whatever, but always the best place to start is going to the comic shop, seeing what appeals to you, and grabbing it. Silver Surfer is amazing. The top 5 omnibuses? That would basically be like top 5 favorite comic book runs in a way. Silver Snowboarder, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Man, Mike Allred doing a few issues of Fantastic Four on Dan Slott's Fantastic Four would be amazing. That'd be amazing. Oh yeah, that would be cool. He did the little bit of the Fantastic Four in the FF run that he did with Matt Fraction, then took over and finished it up by himself with his cohorts and his family. That was really fun stuff. Mike Allred is one of those guys that's born to draw the Fantastic Four. Yes, Ro, man, that's what I was about to say. Before the video, reread them, man. They're so fun. So the first 4 episodes of Comics Revisited, we're going to kind of pop them out quick to try to tie into this movie. We're going to try to get them out there. But the first episode is Lethal Protector. The second episode is Funeral Pyre. That's the Venom series. The third one is The Madness. The fourth one is The Enemy Within. So we're doing a bunch of Venom stuff. I'm very hyped for Thanos Legacy. I loved Thanos Wins by Donny Cates. I'm excited to see what happens here. I'm a big fan of Mike Powell, or Eric Powell, my bad. I'm a big fan of Eric Powell. I read Hillbilly number 1. It didn't really grab me quite like The Goon did. It definitely deserves a reread from me, though. What's up, David? Good evening to you. Absolutely. So I got a few toys over here. You know, I like showing off my old school Toy Biz 90s toys. So I got a few over here that I can get to here in a minute. Any other questions though? Like let's talk about comics, movies, all that jazz. There is a new episode of the Top 5 coming out this week, by the way. Top 5 Superman comics. So my personal top 5 favorite Superman comics. That video will be out Thursday. It'll be available tomorrow for our Patreon supporters. And tomorrow also sees the release of a brand new episode of Movie Monday. We're continuing on through our DC animated films rewatch. We're going to be talking about Green Lantern First Flight, which just may be the best Green Lantern film we've ever or will ever get. We're going to be talking about that one. That's available right now to our Patreon supporters. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing my top 5 Superman books video. I love Superman, and I really think that if you haven't read a lot of Superman, these 5 stories that I'm going to be talking about in this video are obviously to me, I think they're the best, but they are seriously, like, I would heavily recommend that you read any of them, especially when you're having a bad day, because Superman at his best will lift you up even as a reader. It's amazing. It's such a cool experience. I don't know when the next issue of Venom comes out. It's in September, soon, maybe 2 weeks or so, 2-3 weeks. I'm loving Venom right now. I think Donny Cates is doing an amazing job on that title. Well, thank you, Mike. You know, when I did that Batman video, I was so it's basically, you know, I called it Batman, you know, top 5 Batman comics, and it could have been top 5 Batman graphic novels, basically, because I want to do another video where I talk about extended runs, because I feel like I left a lot out of there. But I really, really wanted to talk about Greg Rucka's work on Batman, but it just didn't fit, because when you talk about the top 5, yeah, man, Year One, you know, Dark Knight Returns, Killing Joke, Long Halloween, Arkham Asylum, like those books are just so essential. Right? Like so essential. But if you've never read the Greg Rucka run on Detective Comics, which they have recently collected conveniently in these new Gotham trade paperbacks, fantastic stuff. Yeah, I'm excited for you guys to see my top 5 Superman books. I really, really am. Really, really am. I have not watched Meg. My lady is going to go watch Meg tomorrow, I believe. It didn't look that appealing to me, to be honest with you. I don't have as much free time as I used to have. But I used to watch just so many movies just because I had so much free time. And I wish I still had as much free time to watch a lot of movies, but I read a lot of comics. I have a full-time job. I have a part-time life. You know, I got a life partner that I'm very, very happy with and want to spend a lot of time with. We got animals that we love and love spending time with, and I enjoy doing these videos. Unfortunately, I've had to kind of sideline my movie watching to make room for everything else that I want to do in my life. Otherwise, I would have watched the Meg like that, like no problem. But now, like, to get my attention, it's got to be something special for me, movie-wise, which sucks because I used to be really, really big into it. Kingdom Come did not make my top 5 Superman stories because I view that more of a Justice League story. I know Superman's kind of the main character, and thematically a lot of it's about Superman, but it's also about the Justice League. I think it's more of a Justice League story. So I will guarantee you that when I do a top 5 Justice League stories, it's probably up there. If you were in charge of a Batman story, what would you do different? What would you change? Man, you guys have a lot of good ideas about Batman, and every good idea I ever had about Batman, especially in my early 20s when I was really hardcore thinking that I wanted to be a comic book writer, and I was writing scripts and thinking about things like that all the time. Every good idea I've ever had about Batman has been used. So I think Batman works best when it's taken more to his core. I like Batman's family, but I think Batman, the character himself, works better when he doesn't have so many characters surrounding him. But I also like the Bat family, and that's why I love the James Tynion Detective Comics run. But to me, it's more of a Bat family story than a Batman story. So I always think that there should be a book for the Bat family and a book for Batman. I think that what I would do different, man, I don't know. I would just totally do exactly what they did in Year One and Long Halloween, and what Greg Rucka did. I'd go back to that. One thing I would change is the art. I would have a very consistent style to the art that was not so superhero-y. I would make it noirish, right? Sean Martinborough, who did the Greg Rucka, the majority of his Detective Comics run, and it was like colored monochromatically. So it would just be like one color they would pick for a story, and it would tie in thematically. Like the Poison Ivy story was obviously green. The Whisper of Dare story was red, and then they did a Mad Hatter story that was blue. And the way that they would use the colors and the monochromatic coloring, I loved that. And I would bring back Sean to do more Detective Comics work. That's what I would do. I would change the artwork. That's the one thing I would change. I haven't seen Shin Godzilla, but my homie Holshoe tells me that it's awesome, and I would totally watch it. In fact, I've been meaning to hook up with him soon and watch some Godzilla films, and I need to do that. Those 5 books are the most essential Batman runs for me. Like, seriously, I love them. And Long Halloween and Arkham Asylum are also a great spotlight on to the Batman villains, and I think that's really cool. Which gets me to something I want to talk about, because a lot of people always put Batman Hush into the conversation, right? And I don't think Batman Hush is that good. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know. Do you guys like Batman Hush? Do you think it's so-so, or do you really, really like it? I know a lot of people that really, really like it, and it was kind of their introduction to Batman. And it does a good job of, like Long Halloween and Dark Victory before, of kind of having a mystery, which I thought was an easier mystery to solve. Now, to be honest, not tooting horns or anything like that, or trying to pat myself on the back, but every single mystery in Long Halloween, Dark Victory, and Hush, I figured out about halfway through. But that's just because I kind of locked into how Jeff Loeb set up a mystery narrative. But Hush is not my favorite. Now, I have been reading, some of them are right over there. I've been reading those DC Walmart 100-page specials. So I finished a read of all of the issue ones, and what an exceptional pick of books to put in those things for new readers. They're amazing. So the new stories that are in there, the Batman one, I didn't really dig that much, but I love Patrick Zircher's artwork on it. I thought that was amazing. But the story didn't really grab me. Superman's story was really kind of cheesy, but it kind of worked, and I really liked it. It's kind of Superman versus a tornado versus Mother Nature, an act of God. That was kind of neat. The Wonder Woman story by Tim Seeley I thought was actually pretty solid. And there was a Teen Titans story by Scott Eaton and Dan Jurgens that I really liked. That's the original content. Aside from that, even though I've read these stories, Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, Batman Hush, Green Lantern, like, it's an interesting mix of great first issues to read. And I'm about to start in on the second issues. But even as someone who's read those books before, it was so cool. And if I was a kid, that would be a format of comic book that I would love. $5 and I get 4 stories. Rereading Aquaman #1 by Jeff Johns and Ivan Reis was amazing. It was a fun experience, to read it in that format on that high, just really heavy card, the printing on them is really, really cool. I really, really liked it. I thought the whole experience was really cool. I didn't even really mind rereading the Harley Quinn New 52 #1. I still don't like it as much, but I get how it fit. To be honest with you, the Batman book is my least favorite out of them, because Batman Hush is all right. But rereading issue #1, I'm like, I remember when this started. It was a big thing. But that was a very easy mystery, man. I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that real quick. Oh, they're finally doing that deluxe Action Comics #1000. Yeah, when they said that they were okay, so I got that Celebration of Action Comics 1000 hardcover. It was originally supposed to have the Action Comics 1000. It would have all that, all the different stuff, and then they changed all their plans. I loved Action Comics 1000. I got that hardcover, and I never, ever read anything from it. And I really wanted to. It reprints a lot of important issues from Action Comics, which is cool. It has a lot of cool essays in it that I really wanted to read, and one day I will. Because I still have ideas that one day I'll bring back my Super Mythology video series, and the next episode was always supposed to be Superman. So maybe one day I'll do that. Maybe. Got goosebumps watching Shin Godzilla. That's awesome. I'm a big Godzilla fan. I like Godzilla. I'm not the hugest Godzilla fan, though. I'm not as big of a fan as some people I know that just love Godzilla. They eat, live, and breathe it. But I'm not that big of a Godzilla fan, but I do love me a good fun kaiju movie and a couple beers. Who's lucky? By the way, speaking of lucky, so they kept telling me, so DC and Diamond's like, yo, we're going to give you guys a sneak peek. We're going to give you guys an early advanced preview of Sanctuary, or Heroes in Crisis #1, right? So I was all excited, because sometimes as, part of my gig, I luckily get to get advanced previews of books, which, by the way, I read These Savage Shores, which is a new book from Vault Comics coming out in October. It's vampire fiction. Ron V, I believe, is the writer. That book was really cool. I'm a big vampire fiction fan, and that one nailed it. I liked it a lot. They gave us the first 17 pages of Sanctuary, and that includes the covers. So I barely got to read it. But it sounded really interesting, and what I read I cannot talk about. But it seems like it could be very interesting. But there's going to be something that happens at the end of that book that I didn't get to read yet, because I'm sure they're afraid of people spoiling it. But they're gearing up for Heroes in Crisis to be a big deal. But what I read of it, the Clayman artwork was great. The pacing was great. The dialogue was nice. It was a nice, brisk, action-oriented issue that really felt like it was building to something big, and then they didn't let me know. Yeah, I only read the first 17 pages of it, though. Nothing, really. I swear, nothing. The next Movie Mondays. It's kind of a thing where we're doing these DC animated films right now. And whenever a new movie that we feel is relevant, we're going to cover it, right? So right now, the plan is that we're doing, for the next few, are going to be these DC animated films. But once we hit the second Monday in October, we're going to do Venom, right? And then for the rest of October, we always like doing a horror fest type thing where we like to celebrate horror movies for Halloween. We're not going to have as many videos to be able to do it this year. Next year, I'm looking forward to trying to do a horror fest series where nobody can hold me to this, but I'm planning on doing something maybe next year where we have at least 5 videos a week about horror films, because to me, I love horror movies. I love Halloween time, and I want to do something special to really spotlight it. So we'll also be doing a top 5 horror comics video around that time too. So you can look forward to that. But so we're doing the DC animated films until Venom comes out. We're going to do Venom. Then we're probably going to be doing the original Halloween film by John Carpenter from 40 years ago. Then we're going to be doing the new Halloween film. And then we're probably going to have time to do one more horror film. And I don't know which one we're going to do. I'm going to talk to the guys. I'm going to talk to Jelani and Brooks and see what they think. We'll probably try to pick something that has an anniversary this year, but we're already doing that, which is basically Halloween, which is celebrating 40 years this year. So I will probably do one of my favorite horror movies that we've never actually gotten to do, that I've wanted to do forever. And 2 of them I really wanted to do last year because it was anniversary years last year, but we didn't get to them. But Near Dark and Suspiria. So I would highly think that maybe we're doing something along the lines of that. In November, we're going to be doing Bohemian Rhapsody. We're going to do the first Fantastic Beasts film and the second Fantastic Beasts film. And then in December, we're going to do the Aquaman film, and we're definitely going to be doing 1 or 2 Christmas movies for the Christmas holiday season. So any weeks that fall in between, we'll continue on our DC run. After that, for 2019, right now, what we're thinking about doing is a Fox X-Men spotlight leading up into Dark Phoenix if they choose to actually release that movie. So that's what the upcoming plans for Movie Monday are. In the PCP Army and over at our Facebook page at Pop Culture Philosophers and the PCP Army group on Facebook, we update people all the time with this little image that we have of what's coming up. So if you're not part of the PCP Army, you should totally check it out, or just sneak in over onto the Facebook page, Pop Culture Philosophers, and check out that image. Yeah, Clayman is a very, very talented artist, and his work on Heroes in Crisis, what I got to read, was really, really cool. But ultimately, Yogan, what we're going to do is we eventually want to do almost every comic book movie ever made for Movie Monday. In previews, Moon Girl, an Inhuman, is playing with Devil Dinosaur, ice skating. Beside that is Death of the Inhumans #5 with Black Bolt crying over the body of Lockjaw. Someone has a sick sense of humor. Yeah, right? No kidding. I hate what happened to Lockjaw. What's up, Icy Cold Milk? I hope you're feeling good. My thoughts are with you, homie. Not in any kind of cheesy way. Okay, Leslie, let's talk about Tom Cruise's Green Lantern. I am not down for Tom Cruise's Green Lantern. Sorry, I'm just not. I'm not. I am not against Tom Cruise in any kind of way. I know it's easy to make fun of Tom Cruise and all that kind of stuff because, you know, he's a Scientologist and he's done some silly movies and has some silly roles and all that stuff. But I think Tom Cruise is a very capable actor. I really like what he does. For the most part, I hear that the new Mission Impossible movie is really, really good. And no, Drew, I haven't watched it yet, and I know that I'm supposed to, and one day I will. I'm not down with him as Hal Jordan at all. No, I want someone younger. I want someone fresher. I want someone with more charisma, not necessarily a Ryan Reynolds, but more of a Nathan Fillion type. Not Nathan Fillion, but a type like that. More of a Bradley Cooper, more of a Chris Pine even. I don't know. Tom Cruise would not be my pick in the slightest. Not trying to be ageist, but I think Hal Jordan should be a little bit younger, especially if they're planning on making a few more movies. So that's what I think about it. It does sound very grounded and serious. And what I was taken aback was that the pages that I got to read early were very fast, but they were also very grounded and serious in a very cool Tom Kingian type of way. I'm really looking forward to it. It comes out the end of the month, I believe. Yeah, unfortunately, Chris Pine is Steve Trevor. So we missed that chance. I would like a Bradley Cooper as Hal Jordan, personally. I didn't read all of the Negan story. In the middle of the time that they were doing the Negan origin story in Image Plus, I fell out of reading Walking Dead, meaning that I finally gave up on Walking Dead for the last time. So no, I don't currently keep up with the Walking Dead comic book, but I did for a very long time, and it just got excruciatingly the same story to me over and over. And I wasn't enjoying reading it anymore. So I cut it out. Now, when the story is eventually done, maybe I'll go back and read it all. I think Walking Dead was some of the best comic books that had come out for a long time during the time that it initially came out. I really do think that. I just feel like not every comic book needs to go on and on and on and on. And Walking Dead should have ended, to me, I think, like, I want to, it's hard, you don't want to compare books, right? But look at something like Preacher or Sandman. Preacher went 66 issues, Sandman went 75. If they would have went 150 plus, maybe they would have weared thin on people. You get what I'm saying? Walking Dead maybe should have already ended. But it's not, and it's still a big hit. I hear the TV show's kind of winding down. I hear a lot of people kind of jumping off of that ship. But there are a lot of people that still like that book. But to me, they just kind of tell the same story over and over again. In Red Hood, Jason kills Penguin and Batman kicks him out of the Bat family. November for Tom King, Batman is a Penguin story. Yeah. Because anybody that thought that they were going to kill the Penguin without any kind of big media hoopla over that, they just don't know comics or marketing. That was just a little teaser, right? Did they already bring him back in that book? Probably not. I don't read that book. I do not like Jason Todd. He's not my favorite character at all. Roman, I like Tom Cruise. I just don't want him as Hal Jordan. You know, Roman is Namor backwards. You know, one of the first comic book characters I ever created. This is back when I was a kid. I had a Dr. Fate action figure, Superpowers. Still have it somewhere over there. But I basically just ripped off that design of Dr. Fate, and I called him Roman because my name was Robbie. And then I found out that Namor was named Namor by Bill Everett because he wanted something that sounded regal, like the Romans, and so he just made Roman backwards. Isn't that neat? But Roman was seriously my first comic book character that I made, but it was just, he looked like Dr. Fate, but he was called Roman. I may have told you guys that already. I don't remember. I haven't seen Under the Silver Lake. I haven't even heard of it. We do have enough handsome white boy Chris's in comic book movies. Tom Cruise does, so does Jack Nicholson, though. Jack Nicholson has like over 4 movies with a character named Jack. That's less creative, right? But we all hail Jack Nicholson. I love Jack Nicholson. Who doesn't? What's your favorite Jack Nicholson movie? The Shining for me. The Shining. Followed by One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Yeah, I watched Walking Dead for the first 3 seasons, and after that, I was done with it. After Andrew leaves, you will quit The Walking Dead. We talking about, is that Andrew Leakin? Is that the guy that plays Rick? What's up, Brett? I hope you're still watching. I just looked at your message over here. I have read the first issue of Batman Damned, and I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a little uneven story-wise. It didn't quite grab me with the narrative, but Brian Azzarello, to me, is the most underrated writer of Constantine ever. I love his run on Hellblazer. I love his run on Hellblazer. So I think that's very interesting. The setup of the story is interesting. Lee Bermejo's artwork is beautiful. It's gorgeous. People are going to really respond well to it. All right, Aubrey, I'm reading what you're saying about the Red Hood right now. Let's see. I can dig that, Aubrey. I dig that. I dig that direction for Jason Todd a lot better than what they've been doing. My biggest problem with Jason Todd is not necessarily that he's whiny or anything like that, but some writers write him so excruciatingly whiny. It just wears me down, right? So that's one of the reasons. But also, there is no way that Batman allows this dude to go around and operate the way he does wearing the bat symbol. There's no way. Like, one of my favorite Bat family characters, Huntress, and I'm talking about the post-crisis, pre-Flashpoint version of the character, Helena Bertinelli. I love that version of the Huntress. And her whole arc in No Man's Land is about the idea that Batman won't let anybody that does any kind of excessive force or killing be a part of the Bat family. Seriously, Bruce Wayne would be trying to stop Jason. And it bothers me. It bothers me so much. It bothers me so much. So a story like that is better to me. For Batman to be like, don't do this. But like Batman wouldn't even allow him. And like Batman would have a little bit of like reservation about it, but he would also feel a responsibility to this kid. Do you get what I'm saying? So he would try to help him through it. I don't know. Like the whole character, like, I hate saying this because this is very negative. The best thing that the character of Jason Todd ever did was just die. Like, I'm serious. This is me. That's just me, though. And I know that's not a popular opinion anymore. It was a popular opinion back in the day, but no longer. There's a lot of Red Hood fans now. So I don't want to anger Red Hood fans. But give me a really good Red Hood story, and I'll get down with it. Because one thing we'll be talking about on a Movie Monday soon is the story Under the Red Hood. Now, when Judd Winnick was doing the story in comics, I hated it. From the moment that Hush came out and they teased the idea that Jason Todd may still be alive, I was like, oh my God, please don't do this. Please don't do this. Just don't do this. I just foresaw it not being something I'd be into. But that's just me. Man, I hated that. But the animated movie, I loved. It made me feel for Jason. Something like, it was the same story as the comic, but there was a little bit more nuance in that animated film that really made me feel for Jason. Especially the moment where he's like, and at the time I had never seen Supernatural. Now I've watched like 8 seasons of it or something. It just, the show that never ends, right? That's what Lamb Chop was singing about, was Supernatural. But Jensen Ackles or whatever, whatever his name is, his performance in that one scene where he's like, I get that soldiers die, but why on earth is this scum still alive? Like that, like, oh, that got me. So give me that kind of a Jason story, and I'll be down with it. But otherwise, Jason is just, I don't know. He's just like a Batman version of the Punisher. I don't know. Batman the Damned is this month. Not this week, but this month. And it's going to be in a new format, so it's going to be a little bit wider than our typical comic books here in America. So that's interesting. Well, David, if DC asked people to call in and vote to kill Jason Todd again, I think he would lose. I think he would live. I really do. People hated Jason Todd back then because he was not Dick Grayson. He was a different Robin. He was a very whiny Robin. People felt like he didn't earn the right to be Robin, quite like Dick did. And that led to the introduction of my favorite Robin, Tim Drake. There are some good Zatanna books. The best Zatanna books out there are all done pretty much by Paul Dini. And you can get them in a Zatanna by Paul Dini trade paperback right now. He's got there was a Vertigo one-shot called Everyday Magic that was really, really good. And then he did a mini, like a whole series. It was ongoing for a while, but it got canceled. But all that is collected in a Zatanna trade paperback, and I think it's amazing. Zatanna is one of my favorite characters. She's really being spotlighted very well right now in Justice League Dark by James Tynion. What's up, Count Von Strange the Fourth? I love that name. Can I be Count Von Strange the Fifth? Can I change my handle? That'd be super fun. All right, guys, we're approaching the hour mark. I am down to stay on for just a little bit longer if you guys feed me some questions. We're about to get into some show and tell here at Pop Culture Philosophers. What's going on with the Signal? Duke Thomas. I fell out of knowing what was going on with him. Well, Duke Thomas was most recently spotlighted in the Brian Hill run on Detective Comics, the story On the Outside, which led into, and man, how did I get through the pop culture wrap-ups over the last couple weeks without talking about this? Brian Hill's got a new Outsiders book coming out, and I totally called that. Obviously, it felt like Detective Comics was leading to it. So Duke Thomas is going to be in the new Outsiders book. It's Batman and the Outsiders, Batman, Black Lightning, The Signal, Cassandra Cain, Katana. I'm down. I'm totally down. I'm loving what Brian Hill's doing. If you follow him on YouTube or on Twitter, he really has a good grasp on writing and story structure and things like that. I love hearing this man speak. Really, really like him. I'm really digging his work. So I'm very, very excited for that. Before that, you had the Batman and the Signal 3-issue series, which was kind of neat and explained his new powers. And before that, you had his little backup stories in All-Star Batman. DC and DC doing these crossovers with Hanna-Barbera and with Looney Tunes. They're super fun. Would it work with Marvel? Well, you got to think about what Marvel has access to. Marvel has access to Disney. Yeah, that would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? It would be cool to have. I actually don't know if it would work so well with Marvel. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know if Marvel fans would be as into the silliness of it as DC fans are. It seems like sometimes more DC-leaning fans are more acceptable of like uber silly things in comics. But I would love to see, a Spider-Man, team up with Mickey Mouse. I'd love to see Donald Duck and Thor. I'd love to see Uncle Scrooge meet up with Tony Stark. That would be great. I would love to see Tony Stark and Uncle Scrooge both swimming in the vault with the Lucky Penny. That would be amazing. I'd be down for that. I'd be down for a damn Star Wars Disney crossover. I'd be down for a Star Wars Disney X-Men crossover. I'd be down for any of that, man. I'd be down for it. Daffy and Joker was my favorite one. I was really looking forward to the Lex Luthor and Porky Pig one, but I really liked the Daffy Duck Joker one so much more. I enjoyed it. Seems to me King wanted to use Penguin, but didn't want to wait until the arc was over. It copied beats of Batwoman story because the symbol was ripped off Jason's chest. Jason carries a crowbar now. It's a little too on the nose, isn't it? I don't know. That's just me. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, Batwoman maybe try to kill Clayface, and she is ostracized from the Bat family, right? But Jason Todd's just allowed to be out there and just doing it. I don't know. Doomsday Clock this month, I believe. I believe so too. That'd be very exciting. I'm loving Doomsday Clock. I'm really, just like you guys, anxious for it to get to the story. I want to see Superman and Dr. Manhattan. I want to see that. But I'm really liking the slow burn, the slow pace to it. I'm loving it so much. What's up, Juan? Okay, so you watched the Grant Morrison DisinfoCon lecture. Yeah, and you started questioning reality. Yeah, so did I. As far as the sigil stuff, Grant Morrison claims they work. As for personal experience or anything like that, I don't talk about things like that. It's a little personal, a little spiritual for me. So I don't really talk about that publicly. But I would invite you to jump over to Facebook or on Twitter and send me a direct private message, and I'll talk to you about it there. Other one, why is the comedian still alive? We don't know. We have no idea yet. My guess, Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan can do those things, right? What about Howard the Duck? Oh, Howard the Duck maybe with like Donald Duck and Uncle Scrooge? That would be really, really fun, wouldn't it not? Would they live in his reality? I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this, Leslie. If they do a damned Tony Stark, Uncle Scrooge crossover, that they better holler at me. I want to write that. I don't think we learned we don't know anything about why comedian's back yet, do we? I think it's Dr. Manhattan, but we don't know why he's back. I mean, he's after Ozymandias. He's trying to find him. Ozymandias. So he's after him, right? All right, I want to show off the Cyclops figure, because I had this one Cyclops figure. It's over in the other box, but you know, the first one. But this one was the second one. This is the one that I always wanted, and when they came out with this one, I just loved it, because this was the Cyclops that looked at the time like the comic book Cyclops. It looked like the animated series. So I loved this Cyclops. He once again had the light up visor, so you would click a button on his back and his visor would light up red. He had this really weird gun and this really cool backpack that I loved, but this gun was so weird. I didn't understand it at all. But I loved this figure because they finally gave us that Cyclops. The first Cyclops figure before this one was based on his X Factor costume. And as cool as that was, that's not what he was wearing in the animated series. That being said, I loved this one when it came out. That was amazing. How about Darkwing Duck and Moon Knight? Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be fantastic. I have no thoughts about the Spawn series right now because I have not read it since issue like 10. But as I mentioned earlier, we got a new show coming out called Comics Revisited, and it's going to start off. It's going to start off kind of coming out. Maybe we'll see, but maybe it's going to come out weekly for the first like 4 episodes. But then it's going to go bi-weekly, and it's going to alternate Thursdays with the Robbie's Top 5 show. But if enough people want to do it, I would totally be down to rereading some Spawn and covering it. I initially was going to launch Comics Revisited last year with Spawn #1 and then going into the Watchmen. But we didn't do it because we got really busy. Dr. Doom and Darth Vader would be amazing. I want to see those two cats because Darth Vader and Dr. Doom are very similar and both badass and cool, awesome magicians. What was that to go duck? Are you talking about Gizmo Duck? You're talking about their superhero? How about a Gizmo Duck crossing over with someone? That would be awesome. I'm a huge Gizmo Duck fan. I got a Pop. I got the old school like Kellogg's thing or whatever. I want to spotlight this Terrax action figure. I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan. And when there was a very short-lived Fantastic Four series in the 90s, that's a little silly in the first season, but it gets really good in the second season. But it was great because it gave us this whole line of Fantastic Four action figures. And this was probably the first and only time we were ever going to get a Terrax action figure until they really start diving deep in like things like now like Marvel Legends. I think they've done a Terrax Build-A-Figure. But Terrax was awesome, a great Herald of Galactus, a big big character from the John Byrne Fantastic Four run, which if you read or watched, if you watched my very first Robbie's Top 5 video where I went over my top 5 favorite Fantastic Four comics, John Byrne's run was on there, and Terrax is a beast. This figure, of course, comes with his axe, his cosmic axe. He's a Herald of Galactus, so he's got the power of cosmic, and he's got this cool like asteroid that he can ride on, and you can pull it back and it goes forward. Super, super fun stuff. I loved this entire Iron Man and Fantastic Four line of toys. I thought they were amazing. Are you talking about Gizmo Duck then? The duck that would become like the robot duck? It was kind of like RoboCop, but a duck, and he had like one wheel. That's Gizmo Duck. Gizmo Duck's awesome. Immortal Hulk, the Green Door is coming. Well, I'm hoping to see some good things in Immortal Hulk because the first 2 issues of Immortal Hulk to me were so strong. I loved them. They were creepy. They were character driven. They were great EC type like horror stories, right? But wrapped up in the world of the Hulk, and I loved it. Issue 3 got a little silly, but I understood the idea of the story. But issue 4 just didn't like it as much. Maybe because of the introduction of another Marvel character, Sasquatch, that kind of pulled me out of it. But I'm really looking forward to great things to come from this run. But I really want to see something closer tonally to issues 1 and 2. Well, Marco, I would totally be down for the idea of Guy Gardner going solo. But every time Guy Gardner's gone solo has not resulted in good comics for me. Give it to Dan Jurgens, see what he can do. Let him write, let him illustrate it. Like, Dan Jurgens is still a factor in the comic book industry, right? He's more than just the guy that killed Superman. He's a very talented creator. So give him the chance, see what happened. But when Guy Gardner was Green Lantern and had his own solo book, I didn't really like it. When he was Warrior, I didn't really like it even back then. So, I don't know. We'll see. What up? Aggressively relaxing. It was a great week to be a civilian in the Marvel books this week. The only horrible disaster was in X-Men Blue. Also, Gizmo Duck is dope. Yes, Gizmo Duck is so super dope. He really, really is. I don't know. I have to look back and see if any, I mean, some crazy stuff happens in civilian. Yeah, for to civilians, I don't know. Maybe it was a nice week. That's what I was about to say. Extermination. Thoughts on Extermination. What are your thoughts on Uncanny Avengers #1 in November? And doing the Avengers No Surrender treatment to X-Men Immortal Hulk 3. I'm loving Extermination right now. I think Extermination is really fun. It feels like the classic X-Men crossovers I remember from the early 90s. I ate all that stuff up. Executioner Song, Extinction Agenda, Fatal Attractions, Age of Apocalypse. It feels like something like that. I'm glad they're finally dealing with the time-displaced original X-Men story. It's been going on since 2012. It needs to end. It needs to wrap up. So I'm loving it so far. 2 issues in. It's been very fast, very action-y, very melodramatic. Exactly what I think an X-Men big event should be. So I'm loving Extermination right now. I love the artwork, too. Pepe Larraz, is that his name? Fantastic stuff. Loving it. What are my thoughts on Uncanny X-Men in November? I love Kelly Thompson. I love Matthew Rosenberg. I love Ed Brisson. I'm down. They're going to be wrapping up years of X-Men storylines, getting things ready for what's coming fresh. I'm excited about it. I thought No Surrender from the Avengers was a great story. So I'm excited to see this. And I'm excited to see some writers come in that Matthew Rosenberg and Ed Brisson have both proved their chops on mutant books already. So has Kelly Thompson, because she just recently did the Rogue and Gambit series and Mr. and Mrs. X series, which we've had 2 issues of so far. I hate Rogue and Gambit, but no, not anymore. Not anymore. Kelly Thompson made me appreciate Rogue and Gambit. I really love her writing in particular. I think she's the best writer out of those 3. I love her dialogue. I love her characterizations. She has an innate ability to make comic books fun and boisterously just enjoyable. And I'm really pumped to see what those 3 are going to be bringing to the X-Men. Yes, Conan's coming back to Marvel in 2019. We covered that when it was first announced at the very beginning of this year. And I said Donny Cates or Jason Aaron, and Jason Aaron's doing it. So I think that's super, super cool. I'm not the biggest Conan fan, to be honest with you. Now, I remember when I was a kid, I used to read some Conan books, right? My dad had some Savage Tales of Conan, and I used to like sneak in and grab them, read them. I thought they were really cool. They had cool dark art and shit like that. But we'll check it out. It's Jason Aaron. We'll check it out. Mahmoud Asrar is doing the artwork on that. We'll see what happens. In Doomsday Clock number 3, we know why the comedian is alive. Do we? What are you talking about? I'm missing it. Yeah, Mortal Hulk fell off, man, for me. Really, like issue 1, issue 2, 3, 4. Like, we'll see what happens in 5, though. I think that you can do it. I don't know where Terrax is. Where was the last time Terrax was involved? Oh, the guy who does the Darkwing Duck books, lives 20 minutes away from you. Dude, if you know him or ever meet him, you should be like, yo, dude, do a Darkwing Duck Moon Knight sketch. You can send it to me. That'd be super cool. I put it on my video. I put it on my background for my videos for like a year. It'd be awesome. That's super cool, though, man. That's really cool. Doom Patrol on the big screen, that would be neat. But they're doing Doom Patrol on the small screen. And after those new little, like, on-set leaked shots of Robot Man and Negative Man, I'm down. I'm totally down, guys. Top 5 Garth Ennis books. Number 1 is going to be Preacher. Number 2 will be Punisher Born. What else? What else is there? Garth Ennis. Thor Vikings is all right. Adventures in the Rifle Brigade is all right. His Unknown Soldier miniseries is really good. His Hellblazer run's really good. What else is there? I don't like The Boys. What else? Hitman, obviously. Yeah, Hitman right there. A Doom Patrol TV show could be cool. Alan Tudyk, Tudyk, is that how you say his name? He's going to be Mr. Nobody. How cool is that? Speaking of which, do you guys ever watch that Powerless show that was like super short-lived? It had a dude from Community in it that played Abed. Vanessa Hudgens, I think, from High School Musical was in that show. I loved that show so much. I hate that it didn't work. Tudjik. What's up, Drew? Tudjik? Is it Tud or Tude? What is it? I don't know. Well, next time I see you, I might see you soon. I'll say what's up. Oh, I haven't read Battlefield. Tudjik, Alan Tudjik. I'm just now getting to say Joaquin Phoenix correctly, so give me a break. But yeah, I'm pumped for him as Mr. Nobody. That's like spot on. I think that's going to be really cool. And the Robot Man, Brendan Fraser. It's like, so I see this Titans trailer. I'm like, oh, man. Okay, they first announced DC Universe streaming, right? I go, okay, I'm down for this. We'll do it. We'll report on it, all that stuff. The Titans trailer comes out. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, guys. And then the Doom Patrol casting and the leaked photos, and I'm like, okay. I don't care. Cyborg in it? Who cares? I haven't read Garth Ennis's Battlefields, but I did read his initial run at Vertigo Comics of War Story. That was fun stuff. It's good stuff. That last issue of Gideon Falls was bonkers. Bonkers. I have no idea what that issue was telling me. I have no idea. I'm looking forward to doing a reread of 1 through 6 very, very soon. But right now I'm in the middle of book 5 of The Dark Tower and reading a bunch of Venom comics. And I got to read a bunch of Vault comics too. Reread a bunch of Vault comics because I'm doing a top 5 Vault comics. It's going to be episode 4 of Robbie's Top 5. And yes, Andrea Sorrentino's artwork on Gideon Falls. If Gideon Falls does not win Eisner's this next year, we're done. Me and the comic book industry is done. We're done. That's the best book of 2018. I loved Powerless. I thought Powerless was so fun. It was so silly. I loved it so much. I miss it. It was like The Office in the DC universe almost, which I am now finally watching the US version of The Office for the first time. I am at the beginning of season 3 right now. is where I'm at, and I'm just going right through it, right through it. So I'm excited. I've been a fan of the UK version for a very long time. That was back in my early days of Netflix, when you would actually have them send you DVDs. I got into The Office back then like crazy. I haven't heard anything about a Rick and Morty book being dropped. That doesn't make any sense. It's the only viable property right now that Oni Press has. That makes no sense. Unless they're pulling the licensing from Oni to put it over to somewhere where they think they'll get more recognition as a comic book. Oni Press was such an independent comic book monster back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I miss that Oni Press. I miss the Oni Press with Whiteout and Queen and Country, with the Clerks comics, with The Adventures of Barry Ween, The Marquis, which was the Guy Davis book. I missed that. I missed that stuff. What was the Dan Bryington book? Was that Supernaturals? No, what was that? What was that book called? With the gunslinger. I can't remember it. Was it Supernaturals? No. Whatever that book was. I missed those books. I don't know anything about the Sabrina Netflix show except for it's going to be based on the chilling adventures of Sabrina, which doing a dark version of Sabrina is kind of interesting to me. I was a big fan of that Melissa Joan Hart show back in the day. Tudyk? Now I'm getting Tudyk, I'm getting Tudyk. I guess I just got to do like the responsible thing and go actually like watch a video where he pronounces his own name. Yeah, I saw the new Uncanny X-Men #1 cover. I liked it. Did you see the issue cover for issue #2? Had a bunch of multiple men, and issue 3 was a bunch of different X-Men. So yeah, it's cool. I'm not the biggest Lionel Francis Yu fan, but I'm excited about this book. I really am. Missed that whole era. Sort of stopped collecting around 95 or so. We talking about X-Men books? What are we talking about? I'm liking Ice Cream Man. I'm liking Ice Cream Man right now. The last issue of it I thought was one of the best single issues I've read in years. It would be a cool TV series. Ice Cream Man. That's what I think. I got one more figure I want to show you. We were talking about Helena Bertinelli, the Huntress, earlier. I don't know if this is the only Bertinelli Huntress figure we ever got, but it's definitely a badass one. I loved this Total Justice line of action figures back in the day. I was a big fan of Grant Morrison's JLA run, and it had Hook Hand Aquaman, Mullet Superman, Electric Blue Superman. I loved these figures. It was pretty much the only way to get like the majority of all the different Justice League figures at this time, all in the same line. I loved this line of figures, and this Huntress figure is one of my favorites. They did a Connor Hawk Green Arrow, for Christ's sake. Like, that's awesome. I love these figures so much. They did a Parallax figure. That was amazing. And they had the Hawkman figure from the early 90s, the Black Condor and all that stuff. Really fun stuff. The whole thing was that they would have this armor that you would put on. They had this Darkseid figure that was a little obnoxious because he had this big claw on his hand that made no sense, and you couldn't take it off. It was silly. It was super silly. But I've been wanting to show this one off for about a year since I've had it. And I'm glad I finally got to show this off. I love it. I should put it on the background soon. Oh, and here's the other Cyclops figure I was talking about. This one right there. So this was the only Cyclops figure we had for the longest time. Then we finally got this one, which as a fan of 90s X-Men comics and the animated series, you get while we were waiting for this one. But this is still a very cool figure. It's a very classic figure. I love it. They both have the same action feature of the light up eyes. So there we go. And I got the Shatterstar figure. Let's show this too. I love this figure. I was not the biggest X-Force fan, but I loved these X-Force toys. There was a cable in every line. I have a lot of this run. We'll be talking about more of these in future live streams. I love showing off my toys. That's a cool Shatterstar figure. The second Shatterstar figure they did was actually really cool, way beefier. I like that a lot more. Yeah, man, the last issue of Ice Cream Man was my favorite of that series. I love it. I got the first trade paperback over there somewhere, intending to read it very, very soon. I have not read Cullen Bunn's The Sixth Gun, but I've been looking forward to reading it one day. Yeah, the coloring on Ice Cream Man is amazing. That's Chris O'Halloran. He was the colorist over on Generation Gone, my favorite book of last year. He's doing amazing work. He's going to be, I think he might be coloring that Silver Surfer annual this week. He typically covers Arayo's artwork. Arayo. I'm terrible at names sometimes. I don't know, James. I don't read Daredevil. I've not been responding well to what Charles Soule's been doing on that book. David, Grant Morrison is staying away from from what Jeff Johns did on the book. If you read in the last DC Nation, they have his pitch, his treatment for Green Lantern, and Morrison said you can't top what Jeff Johns did as far as like establishing the mythos of Green Lantern. So he's going to kind of take it back to just being like a beat cop type story. So he will definitely respect and honor what Jeff Johns has done, but he's not going to try to top it, or try to change anything with it, I don't think. She Could Fly is interesting. It's really interesting. I have not read TMNT Urban Legends. I haven't read a TNT book in a couple of years. That one. I heard really good things about TMNT Universe and the Bebop and Rocksteady little miniseries that they're doing. So be on the lookout this week, of course, for tomorrow, Movie Monday. The next episode of Movie Monday is going to be focused on Green Lantern First Flight, which I think may be the best Green Lantern film we will ever see. That releases tomorrow morning here on the YouTube channel. It's available right now to our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/PCP. They will also get early access to our top 5 favorite Superman comics video tomorrow. That video will be released to the public on Thursday morning, so be on the lookout for that. The weekly comic book review will be up Tuesday night. It shouldn't take as long as it's taken the last 2 weeks. I got the technical difficulty solved, I believe. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity to sit here and talk about comic books with you guys. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. I love to sell comics. I love to read comics. And hopefully one day I want to make comics. So thank you guys so much for everything. What we got here? Daredevil comic needs some proper attention. I agree. Who should write it? You know, the new Netflix Iron Fist series looks pretty cool. Arajo. I'll look it up. Anyway, thank you guys for checking it out. Thank you for being here and talking about comic books with me on a Sunday night. We'll be here next Sunday night, 7 o'clock Central, to do this again for Robbie Rants Live. Lots of stuff in the meantime, so be on the lookout. Please do subscribe and all that jazz. Join us over at the Pop Culture Philosophers on Facebook and the PCP Army. Check us out at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and a whole lot more. The podcasts are going to be coming back very, very soon, but we're going to be releasing a classic, few months old podcast this week on here on YouTube. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate everything. Thanks for rocking with us. Deuces.